Hello, you are about to watch video 3 of Module 1, dealing with asking questions. If you haven't watched Module 1, Video 1, Module 1, Video 2 yet, please make sure you watch those videos before watching this video. The things you'll need while watching this video. First, your textbook. We will be going over exercise 1-3 at the end of this video, so you need your textbook to help you with that. You'll also need a pencil or a pen, your guided viewing and reading notes, which you should be filling out as you watch the video, and your vocabulary cards, because some of your vocabulary words might appear in exercise 1-3 at the end of the video. In the first two videos for this module, we talked about active reading, what active reading is, how to do it, some approaches to active reading. We looked at the approach of making connections. That was Module 1, Video 1. We looked at making predictions, which was Module 1, Video 2. Now in this module, we're going to look at asking questions. This helps us synthesize the information while we read. Humans by nature are very inquisitive or questioning beings. We like to ask questions. If you think of children at a very young age, they like to ask a lot of questions. And the two questions that they often ask the most are why and how. Okay? Children are exploring their world, trying to understand what's going on around them, and make a connection between what they know and what they don't know. So as we're reading, we're going to be like children. We're going to ask questions to help us explore and understand the text that we're reading. This active reading approach asks the readers to ask themselves questions while they're reading. So this active reading strategy, you're going to do it again while you're reading. You make connections while you read, you make predictions while you read, so you're also going to ask questions while you read. You can also ask yourself questions before and after you read. Those have different purposes though. Okay? Before you read helps create a purpose for reading. After you read helps you to identify what material you learn and what material you retain. While you read helps you make connections and ensures understanding. So we're going to focus on questions to ask while you're reading, not before you read or after you read. There's a good reason for doing this. Asking questions while reading helps readers establish a purpose for reading. Okay? It helps you figure out what the author's purpose is, okay? Why he or she is writing what he or she wrote. It helps you be more focused. Okay? It gives you something specific to look for in the text. Instead of just being an observer, you're digging for clues. It encourages readers' curiosity and increases comprehension of the material being read. Okay? So asking questions while you read is extremely important to helping to be a successful active reader. Now there are a couple different things you can ask questions about while you're reading. The first, and probably most obvious, something you probably do already, is the meaning of unknown words. The second, details and their connections to each other. So this ties back to making connections. How do the details you read connect to one another? And then that can help with making predictions. So all three of the approaches work together. You can ask questions about the writer's intention. You can ask questions about your relationship to what you're reading and your attitude towards what you're reading. So the questions can be textual, the meaning of words, specific details, or intention, or they can be personal. How do I connect with what I'm reading? Or what do I feel about what I'm reading? Okay. So questions are textual or personal. Or they can be a combination of both, because you should be asking yourselves more than one question while you're reading. Okay. You should always be questioning as you're reading. So our questions fall under 4 general categories. Questions that help clarify, questions that help make predictions, okay, like we were doing in video 2, questions that help students make inferences, and questions that help students think about specific information in the text or about the text as a whole. So to clarify, make predictions, make inferences, or to help understand. And we're going to look at each one of these a little more to help understand what kind of questions fall under each category. So clarifying meaning means to understand something better. And this happens when you ask yourself maybe questions about an unknown word. Okay, there's a word in the sentence or in a paragraph that you don't understand, and you question, how can I figure out the meaning of this word? Or based on the context of this word in this paragraph, what do I think this word means? So it helps clarify things. It helps you understand something better. Okay? You don't necessarily have to just ask about the meaning of a word. It can be about the whole sentence or a detail. Why is the author putting this specific detail here? Or why didn't the author include a detail that you think is important? That helps clarify. Okay? It helps you understand better. When you make predictions, okay, you can ask yourself questions about what is going to happen next. Okay, thinking about sequence. Where's the author going with this? What detail do you think is going to be next based on what he or she has said before? Or you can even make predictions about the overall purpose of the text. I think the author was trying to do this. Or I think the author would have been more successful had he or she included this. Okay, so you can make predictions about things in the text, or you can make predictions about the text as a whole. The third type of question, making inferences. Okay, inferring means to come to a conclusion from information that's not stated specifically. So inferring requires readers to use prior knowledge, things you already know, or things you've already read in a text, and hints from the author in a text to draw a conclusion. Okay? The author doesn't specifically come out and say something, but he or she is trying to hint at it enough that you understand. So if we look back to exercise 1-2 and question 3, we've already seen an example of this type of inferring. So if we look down here at question 3, let me slide it up a little bit. How does Steinem bring men into the second paragraph explicitly and implicitly? Remember, explicitly means stated directly. She tells us directly how it's done. Implicitly means you have to infer the answer. Okay? So if you look back to video 2, we talked about this exercise there, so you can look at how we came up with this implied answer or this implicit answer using inferences. So we're already somewhat familiar with questions that rely on inferring or inference. And then the last category or type of question deals with questions that help you think about specific information or the text as a whole. Okay, these kinds of questions helps readers look at the deeper meaning. Okay, it helps you peel back the layers of a text and find out what's really going on, or what the big message, the main idea, or the implied or inferred meanings of the text really are. Okay, so this requires you to be more active. Okay, you really need to think about this, and this is where your active reading strategies come in. They help you peel back the layers and understand a text on a deeper meaning. We're going to look at exercise 1-3 in the textbook. If you have not completed exercise 1-3 yet, please pause the video, complete the exercise by rereading Gloria Steinem's text and John Updike's text, and then answer questions 1 through 5. If you have completed this exercise, keep the video rolling. So exercise 1-3 says, ask and answer questions about the passages by John Updike and Gloria Steinem on pages 6 through 8 and 11. Okay, reread the passages if necessary. So, if we look at question 1, Choose one word that is unfamiliar to you in Updike's paragraph. Ask and answer a question about it. Well, this question is going to vary by student. Okay? Some words might be familiar to you, some words might not be familiar to other people. So there's no real way we can answer this one together. But if you find a word that you don't understand, maybe one of the vocabulary words, and you can ask yourself a question, maybe, how does this word connect with the rest of the sentence? Or based on the context, the sentence that it's in, can I come up with the meaning for that word? Or what do I think the meaning of the word is based on the context? Those might be questions you ask, okay, and then you come up with your answer as your best guess or your best possible answer for the question. Now, question number 2 we can do together. What is Updike's real reason for writing the paragraph? What point or points is he trying to make? So if we remember, his essay is about the beer can. And he talks about progress a lot. So his reason is to show that progress is not always progress, or progress is not always a good thing. Remember, he doesn't like the way the new beer cans are. So progress in this sense, or in this type, is not a good thing for him. He doesn't like it. He also conveys a sense of importance and appreciation for the beer can. We can tell that it's something that he uses often, that he likes, that people might not have seen in the same way before. People might not have really thought about the changes that have come or have been made to the beer can. Okay, it's kind of, you could make the same kind of arguments he's made, maybe about cell phones or about computers, that they've changed a lot in the past 10 years, and people might not really realize they've changed that much, or might not appreciate it, or might not understand how difficult it is for some people to use the new cell phones. Okay? So that's kind of the message that he's putting forth here. Question number 3. Again, is like question number 1. You're going to choose one word that is unfamiliar to you in Steinem's passage and ask your question about it. Again, we can't really answer this together because your answers are going to vary. Pick a word you don't understand or you don't know, come up with a question for it, and then try to answer it. Number 4, how does Steinem's point about working women correspond with your own experience? Is her point of view dated? Okay, this essay was written almost 20 years ago. Or do women today still have to justify why they work? Okay. The first part of this is going to be your own personal experience, your own personal opinion. So again, we can't really answer that together. The second one, we can say that it's probably dated because there has been some change for women, but there's still kind of a glass ceiling there for them. So while some parts of her essay might have changed, some parts still hold true. Okay? Or at least that's my viewpoint. You might have a different viewpoint. This is one of the personal questions. And one of those ones that is connected to how do I feel, or what is my attitude towards, or what is my experience about. And as you notice, with questions 1, 3, and 4, when you ask questions, your questions more often than not are going to be different from somebody else who's reading the same text and is asking questions as well. So asking questions is a more personal strategy in active reading. Okay? It's not necessarily as uniformed as making connections and making predictions. This relies more on your own personal feelings, understanding, and your attitude towards the work. Number 5, though, we can look at together. Which writer, Updike or Steinem, asks the reader to smile and to appreciate the subject more fully? So which one of these two authors approaches the topic in a more fun, light-hearted way? And then which writer probably wants the reader to take action? So we have Updike, who wrote about a beer can, and Steinem, who wrote about rights for women, or women in the workplace, why they're not being treated equally. I think it's pretty safe to say that Updike is trying to make you smile. He's talking about a beer can. Okay? He wants you to smile and appreciate and kind of chuckle along with him. Steinem is the one that probably wants you to take action. She wants equal rights for women. She's trying to convince the reader that something needs to be done. Okay? Updike is more trying to inform. Okay? This is what I think about the beer can in a humorous, kind of light-hearted way. Steinem is trying to persuade. She wants people to get into the movement, take action, and do something about it. So we have kind of two different approaches here. And that's question number 5. This concludes the video on asking questions while reading, which is the last of the active reading strategies we're going to look at. If you have any questions about this topic or any of the topics covered in the videos for Module 1, please ask your instructor before moving on to the activities that go along with Module 1. If you're comfortable with this topic, you can go ahead and move on with the assignments for Module 1.